2. And we're discussing different types of bowing down that takes place to Hashem. There's different forms, and the Gemara will go into more detail about it. The question was like this. We mentioned this story. Rav bowed down. Rav came to a shul in Bavel. He was on a visit from the Holy Land of Israel. Right? Rav went on this big, long journey. It took him so long to go like this, all around through Damascus, comes to Babylonia, and he comes to the shul. Everyone's watching him. And when everyone bows down on a fast day on their face, Rav does not fall on their face. He does not bow down. Why did he not bow down? So the Gemara gives an answer because the shul had a stone floor. And one of the 613 mitzvahs, one of the 365 mitzvahs, lo yisaseh, negative mitzvahs that we have to be careful not to do, is not to bow on a stone floor.
It's one of the negative commandments, right?
One of the negative commandments. And over there was a stone floor. So Gemara asked a question like so. Now, based on this, we don't bow down on asphalt, concrete, any hard floor. We have a carpet. Many people, even if it's a wooden floor, they put something between them and the ground. But even a plastic bag technically would be enough, even if it's see-through, because the idea is not to bow directly on the way idol worshippers will bow down to their idols or to their stones, which would be directly on the stone. So Gemara asked like this. So it was a stone floor, and it was literally a biblical prohibition that you're not allowed to bow down. If so, Rav. Why did only Rav not bow down to the ground over there? Afilu kulu nami kamed Ravavi. Afilu kulu nami. Even the entire congregation should have not bowed down, should have refrained from bowing down, because you only bow down to Hashem on a stone floor, like we see in this drawing over here, and the drawings down this page a little bit further down that you'll see over here. Right? People are bowing to Hashem. When they hear the Kohen, the high priest, saying Hashem's name, only on the stone floor, only in the Beis HaMikdash, only in the Holy of Holy, in the holiest place. And Rav is in Bavel, he's in Babylonia. So nobody else should have been bowing down either. The Gemara answers, Kamei de Rav Havi. It's literally just a architectural anomaly. The shul in Bavel, in front of Rav, the floor was stone. The rest of the shul was not a stone floor. In front of the shul where Rav was a stone floor. So either Rav was put on a special platform, and there's probably not too much wood over there, and they made him a platform made out of stone, or Rav was in the front of the shul. And even today, you go in front of many shuls in the world, many different shuls, and the front of the shul, or you have it's made out of the floor is a different material, whether for design, whether for fanciness. Over there in the front is marble, and could be in Bavel. Many of the old shuls that are excavated now in Bavel, they did not have stone floors. They had earth floors made out of earth, not stone. And therefore Rav would, but in the front of the shul, where the Aron Kodesh is, and where the rabbi would be, in the honored guest Rav, over there was a stone floor. So that's one answer that the Gemara gives, why Rav did not bow to the floor in the shul, but everyone else did. You can ask a very simple question. Why couldn't Rav just move? Bowing is very important, it's very special. Why couldn't Rav just move? Was he being chazan and then he could not move? Why couldn't Rav put something in front of him? Bow down and take off a robe, and bow down on the robe. So this is one question asks. Now you could say like this, that Rav said, it's not my responsibility. It's the responsibility of the shul to make sure if they can hear me as well, just move the like it's a responsibility of the shul to make sure that I'm able to bow down properly in my place. So at any rate, this is the first answer the Gemara gives, that it was directly in front of Rav, this place with a stone floor. Ask the Gemara, let Rav go and join the rest of the congregation. He has to be specifically in the front of the shul. Sure, Rav didn't always make himself go up front, because you see when Shmuel came and Rav was together with Shmuel, Rav always let Shmuel go first. So let him go together with everybody else. The Gemara answers something very, very important, and we see from a Gemara. Whenever we have a Gemara in Talmud Bavli, we learn many new things. From the questions and the answers, we learn many, many new things. The Gemara Yerushalmi, question, answer, straight. What's the halacha? Here we learn many new halachas. Lo bai lemitrach letzibura. Rav did not want to trouble the entire congregation and inconvenience them, because if Rav would walk past them, they all would have to stand up. It's a very important thing. When a rabbi gets up, everyone has to get up. Rabbi gets up to talk, everyone should get up if you don't do it. If a rabbi walks in, walks out, kvod Rav, honoring the Torah, honoring the rabbi. It's a very important thing. So Rav, if he would go join the rest of the congregation in the shul, then everyone would be required to stand up as a sign of respect, and he didn't want to inconvenience everyone by standing up, making them stand up. So he'd rather not give up the opportunity to bow down during Tachnun together with everybody else, and not to inconvenience everybody. You see how important it is not to inconvenience the crowd. People are in a rush, you can't hold them back. If you're speaking, you realize everyone lost interest, maybe it's a mitzvah to stop speaking. I don't know about me. What I'm doing over here. You let me know at the end. Yeah. So he did not want to inconvenience anybody, and therefore Rav stayed in this place, and he did not bow down. He did not walk to where the congregation was in order to bow down. That's one answer you can give. Another answer you could give, V'bayis ema, and if you wish, you could give another answer. Rav pishut yadayim v'raglayim hava avid. The bowing which Rav will do is different than the bowing that we do. And I did spend a good 15 minutes today trying to find the right pictures to show all the different types of bowing down. 3 or 4 different types of bowing. I did not find yet if someone has a resource and they can share it in the chat, I would love it, and we could share it. I'll share it with everyone to see the pictures properly. So it's going to be a little maybe discombobbled, going from tab to tab over here. But if you follow along here on the big screen, you'll be able to see some things. There's different types of bowing down that we do. Of course, during the Shemona Esrei, we bow down like this, right? We bow down like this. It's in a way like a bowing of almost a performer to the audience in a way. You bow to Hashem. By Moedim, you have to bow all the way. It says to all your vertebrae in your back, vibrate, move. You have to bow down entirely. Then there's the bowing that we do called Kida. Kida means the way we do it on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I might have a picture of it here. Let's exit this one. Okay. Kida means the way we do it, that you bend on your knees and then you bow down. So you're not flat on the floor like this person's called the shtachavaya, complete bowing. And that's really nefilas apayim. falling on your face, this is a real nefilas apayim. When we go like this during davening, that is not the true nefilas apayim. We cover our faces in shame. And like the picture was brought yesterday, is a person in shul davening, the Rebbe during Shachris. This is, there's many other examples. But that's not, we call it nefilas apayim. Tachanun and nefilas apayim, supplications after davening, that we say more prayers to Hashem. According to Chassidus, it's a very high part of davening. It's even greater than Shemoneh Esrei. Because in davening, it's a ladder going from a lower level to a higher level. Davening is called a sulam, a ladder, mutzav arza. The bottom is on the ground. The rosh and the top is Magia Shemayim, coming to the heavens. We start off in the world of Asiya, lowest world, and that's in the beginning of davening. We have Psuki de Zimra, praising Hashem for everything He does. He created the nature and everything that's in the world, and then we have world of Yetzirah. It's called the Birchas Kriyas Shema, the blessings of Shema. And over there we talk about the Malachim, the angels. Each one says Kadosh. We have the Ifanim, the Chayas, the different types of angels. Then you go up a level during Shema itself. You're allowed to be sitting during Shema. You don't have to stand. But so it's in the world of Yetzirah. Bria, the second world, a higher world. But Shema, you proclaim the oneness of Hashem. But there's two types of oneness. Echad. Echad means one, which has a second after it. So Hashem with creation, which could feel like separate entities. And then you have the world of Atzilus and Shemoneh Esrei, where there's nothing but Hashem's existence there. And over there we have to stand, and our feet are together like angels, Malachim. And it's quiet. And during Shemoneh Esrei, we bow down 4 times, the beginning and end of the first bracha, and the beginning and end of the bracha of Hidayah, the bracha of Moedim. And Atay Shimcha. Many other people bow during other parts of davening. I have a tab open over here somewhere. One of these tabs with, this one did not have the resources I needed. Here is the list of when you bow down. Kida is total prostration. It's very difficult to do. We're going to see soon in the Gemara a story about Levi. I did see a drawing of Levi bowing the proper way, and he hurt his rib trying to bow down in the proper way. When he's trying to show how to bow down, and that means bowing on your face, falling down entirely flat, and lifting yourself up on your thumbs, holding your weight on your thumbs while you're bowing. Kriya is falling to your knees, and that's what we do now on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. We fall to our knees, and Ishtachava, we bow. We don't fall flat on our face. The Rebbe Rashav, when he would bow in the shul, he would bow and make sure his face would touch the ground when he would bow on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And his forehead would a lot of times have dust from the floor. His shtakava is knees, palms, and forehead on the floor. We do sicha, which is bending over. Someone during Shemoneh Esrei, shalom, bending over. Now, Rabbi Akiva, during Shemoneh Esrei, whenever he would say Hashem's name, he would bow down, and how he would do it is excessive discussions, but he would start off Shemoneh Esrei in one side of the room, and because all the times he bowed down, he ended up being on the other side of the room by the time he's done Shemoneh Esrei.
We had a similar thing with the Bridget Rebbe, where it's like,
correct.
By the time we threw it that big, it'd be
right. And people have different during Kaddish. Shulchan Aruch says to bow down 5 different times during Kaddish at the end of every, when you say Amen or Brichu for other. That's also the Amen Chabad. Baruch Hu is our custom to bow down, and there's a source for it even. Again?
Rabbi Silver, you said bow during the Kaddish. Rabbi Silver a few years ago was saying that your Kaddish his father.
And he bows during Kaddish.
All the
All the end of 5 different times. Yes, Mr. Native, yeah.
maybe should be doing that.
Yeah, Chabad does that as well. It's brought in Shulchan Aruch brings it down.
The Shofar says bow at
To bow by Shmei Rabbah, Meshiche, Berichu, Yisbarech, Damina Ba'alma Bimru Amen, 5 different times.
It said actually the.
And the Rebbe would actually do it not just there, but in any Kaddish D'Rabbanan. Before every time saying Amen, the Rebbe would bow down as well.
They said over there actually that the Monagon was supposed.
The Birngo is opposed to it, correct. Yeah, that's not our discussion for right now. So Shalom, we bow down to the right, to the left, and then the center, and then the center again. Exactly where? It's interesting. The Rebbe will do different times during different years. During Kedusha, the Chazan, sometimes the people, they bow to the right, to the left, and the center. V'kara zeh el zeh v'amar. I don't think the Rebbe did that, but I've seen many people in Chabad do that. Berachas Koyanim, we do bow our heads when the Kohen is saying V'recha to the right. Everyone bows their heads, as well as the Chazan saying Berachas Koyanim bows their heads. But that's our bowing. We don't have a regular bowing. You have bowing is idea of bittul, you're one with Hashem. So Rabbi Akiva, he would end up the other side of the room from the amount of bowings that he would do. Perhaps he would be like the Kohen Gadol and would bow down on every bracha and totally prostrate himself by every single bracha. So that's how it was in the Beis HaMikdash. Let's see people bowing, prostrating themselves. There's a drawing of Levi, but couldn't bring it up. In conjunction to yesterday's story about Rabbi Hirschberg, here's Rabbi Hirschberg, Menachem Begin, Mexican rabbi. I'll just read a little bit about Rabbi Hirschberg. Was born in Poland in 5676. That's 1916. His father died before he was born. He's named after his father. He was in Meir Shapiro's yeshiva, Chachmei Lublin. To be accepted, he had to be from the elite of the elite. In learning, you had to know by heart. I think 600 blot, or maybe I think later on they lowered it to 300 blot by heart. He fled to Vilna in Japan, Shanghai. He came to 1942. He came to Canada. He came to the U.S. He had a chiddush with the Frierdiker Rebbe in 1944, coming from Hasidic stock, and he came to the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe in America at that time. And he told him, I want you to speak in learning with my son-in-law, the Rebbe. In 1945, the Frierdiker Rebbe told him to go to Chicago and become a Rav there. And he started a Chabad yeshiva in Chicago.
There's the Frierdiker Rebbe.
No, the Frierdiker Rebbe told him. Rabbi Hirschberg, he was not a Chabad Chassid per se, and his kids still today, grandchildren, a very, very warm place for Lubavitch and Chabad. In 1960, the Rebbe told him that he should move to Mexico and become the chief Ashkenazic rabbi.
So he was in Chicago and then he went to there, right?
Correct. And he went to Mexico City in 1960. He started an organization called Merkez HaRabbanim Shel America Litanis, Rabbis of Latin America. And he was in charge of he was a rabbi of the main Ashkenazi shul. The shul would always play live broadcasts of the Rebbe's Farbrengens and large Farbrengens and Yitas Kislev, etc. He's opened the first yeshiva in Mexico City, and you could say without exaggeration, he inspired thousands and thousands of families in Mexico City, which still today has more kosher restaurants in Pittsburgh. Very, very warm Jews over there.
Mexico City, huh?
Correct, Mexico City. A very and the Jews are also very charitable, very generous. And he did many secret missions for the Rebbe over the years. The Rebbe had many of these secret soldiers, who would do missions all around the world, which we don't know about. And he did missions for the Rebbe all over the world. And one of the famous ones was, I told you the story yesterday about when he was with Ayatollah Khomeini. Here's Hirschberg. Let's have this one in. See, he can start with the Rebbe. This is in the year 19. 1984, and Rabbi Hirschberg passed away actually, I think, in 1985. That's the year he passed away. He went to, let me X out of here. He went during we said the story yesterday. The Rebbe told him to bring Hanukkah candles to Iran, and it was in the middle of the summer. And then the mission to visit the American hostages in the U.S. embassy was canceled, was aborted. At that point, because I think the U.S. tried to make a rescue mission to rescue the American hostages, and they crashed inside. They crashed in the middle of the desert, like outside of Tehran.
Oh, Jimmy Carter tried to.
And
bombed down. I remember.
Anyway, so many things happened at that time, and they.
Yeah.
Anyways, the whole entire visit was canceled, and later on it started again. And when he went to visit the U.S. embassy, he says himself, and he found 6 Jews over there, and they were thrilled that the rabbi, a Rav, came to go visit them. This person's name is Rabbi, I think, is Rachian, and he says the entire story. Hanukkah in July 1979, and he came and he visited, and he lit Hanukkah candles with 6 Jewish hostages in the American embassy in Tehran. The next day, they were invited to a massive prayer in the central square of Tehran with nearly 1 million people in attendance. Rabbi Hirschberg was on the same stage as Ayatollah Khomeini, Yamach Shemoy V'Zichroi, watching a massive crowd. Everybody kneeled and bowed down to the ground. Rabbi Hirschberg did not bow, as well as this other rabbi. His name is, where is it? This one, Rabbi Yedidya Ezrachian. So Rabbi Ezrachian, he also did not bow down. He was accompanying Rabbi Hirschberg. There were many Jews in the audience, 1 million people, and Jews were scared not to show up. And they also bowed down. You can imagine you're in a reign of terror.
And he's actually from Iran.
He was a rabbi in Iran, correct?
Yet he didn't bow down.
He was with Rabbi Hirschberg, and he did not bow down either.
Mr. Minsky, is he on? You asked me a question yesterday.
Yeah, he's on. Rabbi Fall, yes.
Wasn't just another name for God? I said, well, it's a different conception.
Allah, you're allowed to say Allah. It's a name. It's a way of saying Hashem.
Yeah.
But it's like saying God. You're allowed to say it.
Kale, and in Arabic,
Yeah.
Allah.
Yeah, you're allowed to say it. As a matter of fact, there's a halacha when it comes to shechita, that if you say Allah, certain places that they say before you, like Muslim countries, you have to, before you shecht, you have to say Allahu Akbar. And halacha is you're allowed to do that. Even after the bracha, before the shechita, because it means Kel Kabir, strong God.
Because Arabic and Hebrew are related because Ishmael and Yitzchak were brothers.
Again? Yeah. So the next day, they're a very big mullah, overbearing cleric, came over to them and told them, why don't you show us respect? Why don't you bow down like the priest did? So Rabbi Hirschberg explained, the priest came from Syria and Lebanon, they know Arabic. I don't understand what is being said. Our Torah commands us, don't bow down to anyone but Hashem. How can I bow down if I don't know what I'm bowing down to? I don't know Arabic. He walked off. A short time afterwards, he said, the Ayatollah has requested your audience. He davened a private prayer to Hashem, accepting his fate. Whatever will happen to me will happen. And this Rabbi Ezrachian went with Rabbi Hirschberg to Ayatollah Khomeini. The other rabbi went and he says, please give Rabbi Hirschberg my thanks for not trying to ingratiate yourselves. I respect that you acted according to your faith. He translated this to Rabbi Hirschberg. Rabbi Hirschberg answered back right away, this is the best opportunity. Ask him, I would like to have a one-on-one meeting with Ayatollah Khomeini and to discuss Iranian Jews with him.
So that's actually the other rabbi translated.
Correct.
Him.
Correct. And he relayed this request back to Khomeini. He asked his son Ahmed to set up a meeting that Sunday in the religious city of Qom. That's where Ahmed is, Khomeini's son.
Oh.
And by the meeting, he brought up many things. One of the things actually that Rabbi Hirschberg managed to do was to save the chief rabbi of Iran, help him escape Iran. and many other things that were taking place. Jews would not be harassed for having a Star of David anymore. Even though no alcohol was allowed at all in Iran, but he allowed Jews to have alcohol for Kiddush. There was a military curfew. No one's allowed to walk in the streets, pain of getting shot or arrested or shot. And Jews who went to Slichus early in the morning for the entire month of Elul were allowed, if they're carrying the talis and tefillin on the streets, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards will allow them to go to shul, even though it was during curfew. And eventually, this Rabbi Ezrachian became very close to Ahmed Khomeini, the son of Ayatollah Khomeini. And
who had become close friends?
This Rabbi Ezrachian.
Oh yeah, he became close friends with Ahmed.
And eventually, Chabad, Baruch Hashem, they saved, over 1,000 young boys and girls, young people from Iran, from the draft. And later on, their families came and joined them as well. And later on, he had to escape, etc. But it's a very complicated operation. And when he himself came out of Iran several years later, and he was in Yechidus with the Rebbe, and he says, I know firsthand everything that the Rebbe did for the Jews of Iran. And the Rebbe told him, now that you're free, you can't take it easy. You have to see to it that all the Iranian Jews should not lose what they had in Iran. And Baruch Hashem, he could say that Iranian Jews in America and many other places in Eretz Yisrael have, in many ways, even more of a connection to Yiddishkeit than they had in Iran. You could say. So but it all comes from Mordechai Lekam V'Lishta. His name is Rabbi Avram Mordechai Hirschberg. Mordechai did not bow down in Iran. That's where Mordechai did not bow down, right? Mordechai did not bow down to Haman in Iran. And this Rabbi Mordechai Hirschberg, did not bow down, and Baruch Hashem ended up helping the Jews of Shushan of Iran.
It says Rabbi Avram Hirschberg.
Yeah, his name was Avram Mordechai.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's him saying the story, if you ever want to check it up. Okay. So that's different types of bowing down that we do. So Gemara says that that Rav, when he bowed like we bow in the Beis HaMikdash. He bowed down, Pishut Yadayim V'Raglayim, like his people in the Beis HaMikdash. Let me X that out. His people in the Beis HaMikdash who bow down. Right, like this person over there, and this person over there. That's how Rav would bow down. Everybody else would bow down, not Pishu Yadayim V'Raglayim, just on their knees. And Ula, we mentioned him many, many times throughout Shas, and he's also a journeyman, traveled between Babel and Eretz Yisrael, communicating between the two schools, all the yeshivas in the Babel and Eretz Yisrael. And Ula said that the Torah, which is not the halacha, but he says you're allowed to bow down on a stone floor on your knees, like we do in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. That you're allowed to do on a stone floor. You only cannot bow down flat in Filas Apayim on your face. That is what's prohibited, to bow down on a stone floor. So Rav was in shul, and the floor of the shul is stone. Everybody in the shul was bowing down on their knees, and then bowing like we do on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Rav, who bowed on his flat on his face as his own personal stringency, he could not bow like that on a stone floor. So therefore, he did not bow down. So Gemara says, so let Rav follow along with everybody else does. When you're able to be like everyone, when you're able to keep your stringency and bow straight, flat on the ground, right? Like these people here in the Beis HaMikdash, you could do it. But now you're in a shul which has a stone floor. Do what everyone else does. Follow the ruling of Ula and bow on your knees. which according to Allah, you're allowed to. Halacha nowadays, of course, you can't. The Gemara answers what we said yesterday, 2 days ago, very, very powerful thing. Loi mishani miminhage. Rav did not want to change his custom. If you do a stringency more than 3 times, it has the halachic status of a neder, a vow. And if you vow, if you swear, you have to do a Torah Nedarim to annul his vow. And it goes even to the extent that if somebody travels to a city and always stays in a certain place or a certain hotel, you shouldn't change it. You should continue going back to the same place. Because if you don't go back, it seems like you don't like the old place anymore. We see with Avram Avinu, he went down to Egypt, he was very poor, came back from Egypt, Paro gave him tons of gifts. He stopped at every single inn that he stopped on the way there, he stopped on the way back. He wasn't looking for the Ritz-Carltons and the Waldorf Astorias in the desert on the way back. In the places he stopped there, he stopped on the way back. Though now he was wealthy and respected, and before he was not well known as much, he was poor at least when he left. He lost his entire crowd. Came to Israel with 75,000 people following him, and they're gone. They didn't come with him to Egypt. They were only fair weather friends. As soon as there was a hunger in the land of Israel, they all ran off.
I was wondering what happened to the book. Did I see?
You don't see any of them around nowadays. So even when it comes to a stop on the road, you should go back to the first place. Because you're saying you don't trust the other guy's kashrus. However, so for definitely when it comes to a mitzvah that you do, and Hashem will always help you keep a minhag. To keep a certain person who would every single year give a lot of tzedakah to a certain cause, a certain tzedakah. And one year, unfortunately, the wheel turns, he lost a lot of his money. And this tzedakah, this charity came over to him asking, could you please give us, like every year? And he could have easily said, I would love to, but this year I can't afford it. So he said, nope, I'm going to do it anyways. Because he can't change a custom that he has. And it's a story. He ended up that Baruch Hashem, the brachas came afterwards, the blessings came, and he, Baruch Hashem, regained everything that he lost. Perhaps it was a test. But a minhag, a custom, we said yesterday, is extremely important. Don't change a minhag that you have. A good custom that you have, you don't change it. We spoke about those who come to Chabad and they wear extra levushim, extra garments, whether it's a gartel before they're married, whether it's a shtreimel, and the Rebbe says, don't take away something that you already have. Yossi, manishma.
Boker Tov, Rabbi.
Boker Tov. Eich Yaakov.
It's okay, הכל בסדר, הוא עסוק בעבודה.
Good, it's Baruch Hashem. תן לו דש, בבקשה.
I will, תודה.
בבקשה. So a minhag, a custom that we have is very, very important to do. And there's stories in Gemara about how customs could save people. A minhag Yisrael, a custom of a Jewish people, could save a life of a person. How keeping a custom actually could save people's fortune. So Rav, when he has a minhag that he has, he didn't want to change it. So rather than bow down with everybody else and listen to the ruling of Ula, Rav did not bow down, and everybody else in the shul bowed down. So one answer was that, and we learned amazing things from both answers. The first answer why Rav did not bow down in the shul, although everyone else bowed down, was because there was a stone floor in front of him, and he didn't want to move because he didn't want to make everyone else in the shul stand up. You have to respect everyone else's time. You have to respect everyone else not to bother them. But the second answer was Rav had a stringency on himself, and he didn't want to lose his stringency, and he'd rather not bow down in front of the whole shul than keep the stringency, than to not keep the stringency that he has. The third answer. Adam chashuv shayni, an important person is different. An important person cannot fall on his face flat in front of everybody else unless they are someone altogether unique, like Yeshua ben Nun, but someone who's very important, like that, cannot fall on his face in front of everyone. The reason why, we'll Mit Hashem touch upon tomorrow. Continue right along. Let's come to the Umayyon.
Replace this actually with another dollar, and put that.
Very good.
Put that
So-
dollar into the first,
Correct.
and keep this George watching dollar.
Oh. Chachma, over here, first of the spheres. Now, we just zoom into Chachma. You can put a line right in between. There's two parts of Chachma. Two basic parts of Chachma. Of course, there's infinite parts because it's part of Hashem's creation and Hashem is infinite. But we're touching now upon two different aspects of Chachma, of wisdom. One is aspect of how it's connected to what comes before it. It's the bottom of Keser, of you call the Ein Sof, the infinite light of Hashem. And with that, it always feels not inferior, it feels insignificant. Inferior means I want to feel more important. I should be feeling better than I'm feeling right now. Chachma doesn't feel inferior to anybody. Feels insignificant. There's nothing even to talk about. I don't deserve any better. Inferior means the other person, I deserve better. Chachma feels I'm not even something which is significant at all, comparison to what comes before, above me. Then you have a lower level of Chachma. The way Chachma is that it has to teach, has to expand. The idea of Chachma, of wisdom, the ability to know, curiosity, and that causes you to have Bina. You find one kernel and you expand it, and you pop it, and you make it, and you have delicious popcorn. You make the one kernel expand into Bina, breadth, width, length. Nayon, a spring is Chachma, called Nayon es Chachma, springs of wisdom. Hine, we're going to read it inside, over here, in Kuntres Umayyon. Hine bechachma yesh beis madregas. In the level of Chachma, you have two aspects. First one is Mashech Chachma hi reishis hagiluv reishis eshtalshalos. Chachma is the start, the beginning of everything else that comes after. Called Chachma. I mean, obviously, after Bina comes Das, after Das comes Chesed. But Chachma is, you could say, a Yesh Me'ayin. It's a new creation. You could say, sort of, here was a stop, and now is a new start. Chachma can't really trace back, sort of. It's very hard for it to trace back where it came from. It's a new stop and a new start. That's Chachma. Everything else traces back. Bina comes from Chachma. Das comes from Chachma and Bina together. Chesed comes from them. I'm being kind because I had this wisdom that comes to my head. His second aspect of Chachma is that it is connected to the level of Keser and the level of Ein Sof, the infinite light of Hashem. And therefore, it is higher than creation, higher than this whole entire system of Ishtalshalus, of the chain-like progression of worlds. It's above all that. And these are two different aspects of Chachma. One is a higher aspect, which cannot be revealed. Chachma is not any significance of importance of its own, and instead it looking to go up higher. And the lower aspect, which that you could define, Chachma, the grain of knowledge, curiosity causes that everything else should come about after. These are all spheres. Again, spheres are not physical things, and they're not even things that we could fathom. These are just descriptions, adjectives, to give us an idea of what a sphere is like. As we learned in Derech Mitzvah, not that any of his spheres actually work are actually like Chachma or Bina, but that's the closest thing we could comprehend of any spirituality is such a thing. Vinyanam b'koyach hachachma shebenefesh hu ke'inyin b'rikas uskiras haseichel. In the soul, you have all these 10 levels all exist in the worlds. The world of Atzilus has it, the world of Bria has it, the world of Yetzirah has it, right? However, it exists within a person himself, within the soul of the person. So now we explained it in the worlds. How it is explained in the soul of the person. The soul of the person is merely a mashal, a way to understand the way the worlds, the holy spiritual worlds work. And just like in your soul, your person has inside of themselves the power of chachma, the power of intelligence, curiosity. What is that in the worlds? You have that as well, and it's like the bekira. It's called a flash of intellect. When a person has an idea, remember Mr. Krieger gave us a good mashal on this. You have to have a mathematician who is working on a equation, a problem that's perplexing him for years and years. Suddenly he gets a flash, he thinks of something new entirely. And he says, hold on, I have to develop this. And if someone talks to him then, he says, don't interrupt, I'm trying to focus right now. And if he's able to grab it and work on it and focus it, he could make it something bigger. Like you have a chess master playing a game, and now he's stuck in he needs a new tactic. And something which defies all contemporary logic until then comes into that person's mind, and they'll suddenly understand it and work on it. That's Chachma. Chachma is a curiosity, it's a flash. It's represented by the letter Yud of Hashem's name, which is tiny, very, very small. That's Chachma. It doesn't show off. It's not very flashy. It is flashy. It flashes. It's there and it's gone. It comes and it's gone. Chachma is not tangible. Chachma, we said all these. It's not a tangible thing. It's not something you could define. It's not something you could really understand. However, but it is in a certain universe, the universe of intellect, the universe of comprehension. So it's very general, very, it's like a nucleus form. Thank you, English translation, Rabbi Shachat. But it's not defined, but we know which ballpark it's in. It's in the ballpark of Chachma. It's wisdom. It's not our insight. It's not emotion. It's something which is connected to wisdom. If a person has a flash of inspiration, he knows in general what he's looking at. This is the outer, external aspect of Chachma, of the wisdom of Hashem. That is because that is connected to wisdom. You have in Chachma itself many different levels. But in Chachma itself, you have the Chachma Bina Das, Chabad of Chachma. Then you have the Chagas, Chesed Gvur Tiferes of Chachma. Then you have Nesach Yesoid of Chachma, and you have the Malchus of Chachma. The higher aspect of Chachma is above intellect. It's out of the ballpark of intellect. And here on this page from Chabad.org, very succinctly, he brings down, you have 1, 2, 3. You have the part of Chachma, which is a Koyach Ma, the ability to do what? What are we? Of non-existence. That's always connected to Keser. Flashes in and out of existence. Second aspect of Chachma is that it's the first of the 10 spheres, the beginning of creation. Reishus Chachma Yiras Hashem, the beginning of Chachma is God-fearing. And the third aspect of Chachma is Bereshis bara Elokim. It says in the beginning, God created. Hargam Yonas Amenuziel writes, B'chokmasa. God created the world with Chachma, with wisdom. Besides for actual wisdom, it means with a level of Chachma. And that refers to Chachma as it comes down to creation. So we're discussing now, from these three aspects of Chachma, we're discussing aspect number 1 and aspect number 3. The higher aspect of Chachma, which is connected to where it came from. The lower aspect of Chachma, which is going to create a lower reality. The word Chachma is made up of 2 words, as you see here on the screen. Koyach and Ma. Koyach means power. Ma means what? The higher aspect of Chachma, which is that it wants what's above it, is Koyach de Chachma zeu inyan ispashtus elabina. Uma de Chachma nisap gusel keser. Koyach means a power. That's the way people perceive me. The power of Chachma is a lower aspect of Chachma. Number 3 on this list over here, which that Chachma could create lower worlds. The higher aspect of Chachma, which we're talking about, which would be on this list, number 1, which is not a non-existence, and it's only connected to what comes before it, which is a higher half of Chachma, that is coming from the word Ma. Ma means what? Which means I don't exist. As Moshe said, Nachnu Ma. And Moshe Rabbeinu himself, he said he was the epitome, he was the perfection of the level of Chachma, of the world of Atzilus, the Chachma that is spoken about. And he himself, he had 2 aspects of him. It says about Moshe Rabbeinu himself, his top half of his body was a hormin. There's a Latin word which means like godly. And the bottom half was a hormiz, like a person. Now, was he literally like that? He was a human being. He was born from a mother and the father, obviously. But we're discussing the level of holiness of Moshe Rabbeinu. And the level of holiness is that he had Chachma, which had two aspects of it, a godly part and a not as godly part as Chachma. And the not as godly part as Chachma is how Chachma interacts and gives birth to Bina. The higher aspect of Chachma is what makes it go beyond comprehension, knowledge, and understanding. And therefore, people will never, people who have no connection to godliness, you can think they're a 3 times a year Jew, or 3 times a life Jew, or no time a life Jew. And nevertheless, when it comes to sanctifying Hashem's name and feeling proud that they're Jewish, they're going to go all the way because they have the level of Chachma inside. And the level of Chachma itself, they have the higher level of Chachma, which is connected to Hashem. It's non-existence. And people, therefore, a Jew would say, who am I in the face of the God of the world? And they're willing to put everything, their life, their fortune, everything on the line for one Jew. I will conclude with a very short anecdote, just to show about how a Jew can be so far from knowledge and feeling of godliness, and they're going to put everything on the line for it. This is just a story from communist Russia in the 1960s. There was a brother and a sister. And they came from a town in Russia or Ukraine where the Nazis killed all the Jews in the town. And miracle of miracles, this boy and girl, brother and sister survived, although their parents were killed in the Holocaust, or killed by the Nazis. And they ended up in different places, in orphanages and who knows what, government orphanages, and they had a memory about how they came from a Jewish family and whatnot. One of them was older and managed to stay with the sister. and kept him in the loop about Yiddishkeit. And the family who lived in Samarkand, name is the Chazan family, very unique family. I think they had 15 children, all in Russia, and they were kicked around from Bolshevik to Moscow to this, and he was fired from his job for keeping Yiddishkeit. And his kids, his children, his boys and his girls, Baruch Hashem, all today, all Hasidim, some Chabad, some other types of Hasidim, who are all fiery. He himself was not a Chabad Chassid, but all of his children became Chabad because that's who were the from Jews in Russia at that point. There was almost no one else. And they kept on getting in trouble with the government and getting trouble with this and with that. And he met this very big activist for Yiddishkeit, in addition to finding all of his works and jobs. And he meets the boy, and he brings him to his place where he works. And he had a boss. It's 12 o'clock, so I don't want to hold anybody. A cooperative. The owner of his cooperative was a Bukhari Jew, and he felt such a affinity to Yiddishkeit. He grew up under communism, a young person. He knew nothing about Judaism except that he's Jewish father and mother. And he told him, "Can you please do me a favor? As a young boy, his parents were killed in the Holocaust, and we need to give him a place where he doesn't have to work on Shabbos." And he agreed, and we brought him in very unofficial ways, and he gave him his job in the factory.
Bukharin did, right?
Bukharin gave this older brother, a job in the factory where Chazan lived, where Chazan worked. And then later on, they're trying to get the sister away from a place where she lived, a very non-Jewish environment, no kosher food. And they managed to get her a permit to live in Moscow. It was very difficult to get. Don't ask me why. Here in the US, you don't need a permit to live in a certain city, but there you do. And they got her a permit to live in Moscow and to come join. However, it was dangerous. Everything's so secrecy, and us people, living in free countries cannot really understand. It was imperative to keep a secret that they're related to each other. Because in that case, they could, one could lead to the other. They're following this. They will make networks, and if you're related to someone who's keeping Yiddishkeit, keeping any Yiddishkeit, who goes to shul, they follow them. They follow anyone related to them. So it's imperative to nobody should know, even his boss, that they're related to each other. He knew that they're a brother and sister, and he got them both working in the same place. And this young Bukharian Jew who had no knowledge Yiddishkeit, he didn't know anything. He didn't know what Shabbos was really. Maybe he knew because Rabbi Chazan didn't work on Shabbos, and he sort of let it fly under the radar, as long as he didn't get in trouble, which he eventually did. But he knew very little, no formal Jewish education at all, didn't know much about anything of, Tefillin, Torah, none of this. And he went over to Rabbi Chazan, and he says, "We have a young Jewish boy and a young Jewish girl working in our factory. Could you ask them, maybe they want to meet each other, maybe they should get married to each other." And he says, I'm going to give, I think it was 5,000 rubles, insane amount of money, huge amount of money, for them. So he was in a big quandary. And he tells the boss, I'm not sure if they're the same type. I don't think it's such a good shidduch. And this boss will not let up. Every day comes over to him. Did you bring it up to them already? Did you speak to them already? I know he trusts you. I know you know her a little bit. Could you please bring it up to them? He said, I just want to see a Jewish boy and a Jewish girl get married. That's all I want to see. And then he came up and he says he's offering his offer to 10,000 ruble. Tremendous amount of money. And who knows what you could do with it back then. And so afterwards he came back to the boss and he says, I spoke to both of them. And they know each other a little bit. They don't want to, they say it really doesn't fit. It's not a good fit. And he kept on pestering him about it till eventually the girl had to move to a different factory, but she already had her. So here I have a Jew who knows very minimal about Yiddishkeit, but he's willing to put tremendous fortune on the line and also put himself in danger many times in order to help another Jew. After World War II, after the Holocaust, and there was a big movement of Jews all around Europe. Escaping Russia was one aspect of it, but the main idea was escaping communist-held countries and going to American-held countries or freedom countries. So escaping Eastern Germany, escaping Hungary, Poland, all these places, Czechoslovakia, as the Russian communists were taking over. And there was a very big group called the Bricha, which would help. A lot of them were from the Jewish Legion, Zionist, young Zionist activists, and they would help Jews smuggle them over borders, smuggle them from country to country. And of course, they were very involved. Chabad, they helped Chabad a lot too. And when Rebbe Zechana, the Rebbe's mother, was asked about them, about these people of the Bricha, they don't keep Shabbos, Yom Tov, they don't eat kosher, and she called them, they are tzaddikim without yarmulkes, holy people without yarmulkes. Right. So the Chachma, the people we have throughout our history, and we see it very, very much so today, and at all times, about people, a Jew is willing to put everything on the line, fortune, their life, their safety, in order to help out their fellow